What do you define as electronic music? I think when my dad was playing Moby for me at home, late 90s, Moby, Massive Attack, non-rock music or hip-hop, because that's what I listened to before. So I guess Moby was like, oh, it's like kind of trancey. Also, his beginning stuff was really trancey. But then from there, yeah, I listened to like really bad trance in high school. Like, I think even like some hardcore, really horrible stuff that my friend was sending me. And then kind of discovered more trance, the usual stuff from 2003, 4. And then 2005, I was in Paris for a family event because half of my family's French. And I went on a Thursday night to see Laurent Garnier in the Rex Club. That was the first time I ever went to a club. I had only gone to this one Dutch festival, Dance Valley, before, just for a day, because we were on this like family trip to Holland. But that night, 2005, like in March, I went to see Laurent Garnier in Rex Club by myself. And I knew one other American kid that I knew from this forum, trance forum, that was also there. And it was insane. Like Laurent Garnier all night long in 2005 was really, really good. And then from there, I just kept trying to find clubs to go to. Just kept going. Then I was in LA. I started to go like 18 and over trance clubs because you have to be 21 in the States to go out to clubs. And I met some really cool Armenian guys that showed me a little more interesting music. They got me a fake ID, really good one. I could go to clubs when I was 19. Then I started to see like Danny Howell, Steve Lawler, Sasha and Digweed. Sasha had residency in LA that time, which was amazing. And yeah, from there, it just continued and continued. I met more people. I started DJing, I think it was the end of 2005. And then I got my own decks, like I think the beginning of 2006, like CDJs and mixer. And I think by 2007, I had some gigs. So basically I'm DJing almost, I guess the end of next year, it'll be 20 years, which is weird because I feel like I'm still figuring it out now. In high school, I lived in France for 2 years. And then I was in Los Angeles for like the whole beginning of DJing. 2012, I came here for the first time, like as someone who DJs. Never been to Europe before as like playing music. And I had my first gigs in Europe. And then the next summer, 13, I decided to move here to Berlin for like 8 months. I spent a whole year here. I was working in a booking agency part-time and I was DJing. I had my first gig here in September 2013. And then, yeah, after that, it was back and forth a lot of times. Some like half the year in Los Angeles, a little bit of summer in LA, Europe, doing gigs. I did also one summer in Ibiza, 2014, like a whole 7 months in Ibiza, which was super fun, just to have my Ibiza experience, although I don't want to live there anymore. It was really fun for 1 year, but yeah, it's not really my scene at all. It's like an ongoing process, obviously, because it's always dependent on where you are and who you're hanging out with and what your influences are. I mean, the first influence for me, big one, was Sasha or like Danny Howells. I would see Danny Howells play in LA in the same club also, like open to close. He would start at 9 p.m. and he would finish at 6 a.m. You come to the club at 9 and he's playing like ambient, down-tempo, super chill, nice. You're hanging out. And then all of a sudden it's midnight and it's like house music and you're dancing full on and you're like, you don't know how you got there, It's like, it was so smooth. And this really showed me like proper opening sets, which also when you're starting out, you have to open. You're the guy opening all the time. And I learned to really enjoy opening. I still really like opening sets. I mean, I like to play late also, and I like to play in the morning a lot. I really like to play in the daytime mostly these days. That's my favorite. But opening is super important. Showing the proper arc of a night, which for me is an important value that I feel like some people are missing these days. For me, it's like essential to partying. Like a party should have an intro, it should have a middle, it should tell a story in the middle, it should go up and down, it should not be linear, and it should have a nice ending. Playing a nice last track and sending people home in a nice vibe is super important, I think. That if you're just banging it and then they cut off the sound, that's just not a nice way to end a party. It's not professional. I mean, I have my favorite classics, but there's also so many I'm rediscovering. Oh, what about this one that I forgot about, I mean, there's so many Perlin records that are, for me, essential, but I couldn't just get through my life just playing Perlon also. Like there's too much other music that is also essential for me. I think in the last years, I've been rediscovering a lot of US house music that I completely missed when I was growing up. I just wasn't paying attention to that music. I was paying attention to stuff from Europe mostly and like, this is cool because I'm in the States. And also the people that I started DJing with, we weren't really paying attention to that early US house music from like the late 90s or early 2000s, which now I discovered. And for me, it's like really amazing. Like West Coast of California was making a lot of really good house in the late 90s and early 2000s. And then there's like everything from Chicago, everything from New York. Florida has a rich history with breaks and like kind of more ravey stuff, but there's just so much music from the States to explore. And now just like it's about like just constantly trying to open my idea of what I like to play and challenge myself. Like, what did I not think that I could fit before that actually I like and I can fit, you know? This is the most interesting to me nowadays. And also exploring like down tempo, because you guys know I make like jazz mixes, down tempo mixes, ambient. All music is interesting, basically. I don't really know anything that I don't like. I mean, yeah, there's some genres that I don't touch really, but I still surprise myself. Like I start to get into techno also. I don't really play techno because I don't play those kinds of parties where you're really just playing techno and like you're there for that. But you dip into techno when you're playing late at night, you know? It's just part of the palette. So it's nice to get into it more and more also. Part of my sound, it's a big part of teaching me a lot about myself and DJing. And also so many people that I've met in the scene are just because of here. I mean, I would say maybe half of my best friends in music are all from this place. Yeah, I came 2013, that whole summer. I was staying the whole summer here a lot, trying to figure out how can I play here? It would be really cool. And then of course, finally had some chance because of my friend Jan Kruger. And then I was here once a summer playing 2 or 3 times, eventually to the point where when I moved here about 6 years ago permanently, I kind of became a resident. Like it just happens, you know, you don't really see if it's gonna happen or ask for it, but it just happened. And it's really nice to be able to play here super regularly. I mean, once a month minimum in the summer. And it's nice to have a residency because this is some place where I'm super comfortable to play. I can play any slot in this place and it's no problem for me. And it's a pleasure every time. I think we need more residencies, more resident DJs. Once you are really comfortable with a space all the time, it teaches you a lot about DJing also because you feel more comfortable to take some risks or go different places. And it's a bit more second nature. You don't have to like sit there and wonder if you're doing okay in some new place that you've never played before, you know, which is a lot more difficult. When I came back here in 2022, they were kind of restarting the club after the pandemic, you know, being closed for 2 years, basically. I mean, they were open, but not in full capacity. And the previous guy who was doing most of the social media left, and I needed a job because it's much nicer to have a job in Berlin than just rely on DJing. And I was already taking photos of the club just for fun and for myself, and I was giving them the photos to use for their social media, so it just made sense that I can just handle it. I'm pretty good with the social media. I know what information to put. I know all the people that are playing in here, so it's easy to reach out to people and talk to them. So now I do here, Hoppetos, and the Sonnenraum. The Sonnenraum is like new, so we're kind of building it up, but yeah, it made sense, and I enjoy. It's really nice to work here. I have an employee discount finally after 10 years at the bar, so that's really cool. The first time I went to Romania was 2013. Also that summer, I was invited to Sunwaves, which was really cool, but I didn't know anything about Romania. I mean, I was a huge fan of the music, our PR, everything. I was following for a few years already. But it was really crazy to go to Sunwaves the first time and be like, oh, you guys party like this here. Like I never saw anything like that in America, ever, anywhere. So for me, it was like, this is amazing, you know? And then I've been going back and forth since, also playing here and there. But in the pandemic, I wanted to spend a little bit more time with the crew also because they started the Sunrise Hub and it was cool. There was something to do. There was nice studios with like a connection with all these friends. I lived with Herodot because he's a good friend, and we made also music together, which was super fun. I mean, there wasn't much else to do in the pandemic, really, especially in Bucharest. All the parties were done. There was maybe some little private parties we had with friends in a couple illegal locations, but really nothing much. I mean, you didn't have gigs, you weren't traveling. I managed to go to the US that summer for a couple gigs when it was open, but you always had to see if something was open or not. So the chance to make music and chill in the hub with all those guys was great. Like, so many good friends. But yeah, once Bucharest opened, once everything opened, I wanted to come back here because this is where I feel more comfortable. The Romanian scene is special to me. It's like, you know, maybe a bit oversaturated these days with some of the same things happening, but it's still special. It's still a nice community of people, really amazing DJs. Everybody's a bit pushing their own sound different directions now also, which is cool. I hope the situation with the authorities is going to get better, you know, for the parties, because that's the thing that's a bit scary these days. We also have our own problems. We have problems with noise here all the time, every year. There's like two people, that's the same two people complaining every time. And the police come all the time, but it's usually these people making noise and not us. But all the clubs here have a government limiter. We have one also at night after 10 p.m. The limiter hits and it restricts the volume a lot. At least inside it's okay, but outside it's almost no sound until 7 a.m. So yeah, we have our own problems, but overall Berlin is still pretty hedonistic, pretty free as far as, you know, the vibe inside the club. There are no bouncers in the clubs. You go inside, you feel pretty free. It's still pretty nice. Yeah, I mean, it happens. There's also weirdos that make it into all the clubs. We have some problems with this sometimes too, and try to take it seriously and find out what happened and try to make sure we don't let those kind of people in, but it's really hard to select at the door, and you can't really know in 10 seconds at the door if somebody's gonna act like a complete fool or do something dangerous inside, you know? Also, we don't wanna be searching people like crazy, but you wanna make sure they don't have anything dangerous or they're not gonna do stuff. But yeah, it's the same as everywhere. But overall, I don't know. I don't know what is everybody's experience, but I don't have too many bad experiences in clubs in Berlin. Maybe some annoying people, but I'm also a guy, so I think it's different for girls or other people. But okay, we do have a little epidemic of like people spiking drinks here lately. I don't know if you heard about it, but it's been happening more and more in like Berghain and Sisyphos. So it's something to pay attention to and be careful with. Ah, now the sound is off. I don't remember exactly which it was. I remember we used to do parties at this rooftop in LA called The Standard in downtown. And I remember the first time I played there for this one guy. It wasn't a very good party, obviously. But I got to play first, and I remember being in the hotel room with them after, and this Russian guy with no shirt, big sweaty guy came and he's like, "Oh, you are DJ? Hey, come here." And he wrote me a check for $500 out of his pocket for no reason. He wasn't the promoter. That was one of my first gigs where I also got paid one of my best fees early on, which was really funny. I don't remember my first gigs that well. My first gig here was amazing. My first gig here was a Saturday with weather like this, like 32 degrees after Perlonized, which used to be in Panorama Bar then. And a CDV gig after Get Perlonized is the best possible crowd you can play for because it ends usually 2 p.m. Here we start at noon. By 3, 4, you have everyone coming in wasted from Perlon in a super good mood. They're ready to hear more music, and like it's just the best crowd. And also, I was playing all afternoon, and then like Zip and Sammy came from Perlon, and they were like, "Can we put our stuff in the booth?" And I was like, "Ah, what the fuck are you guys doing here? Are you serious?" And they were hanging out all day. It was super fun. I mean, I knew Sammy from before, but Zip coming to my first gig in CDV was really crazy. I was the first one playing that day, and I also played until evening. And then with this other girl, Andrea Sicheki, who was playing, we ended up playing from 7 a.m. until noon the next day when the next party started. So it was a really full-on proper first session. That was my first summer here. Yeah, September 13. When I was first playing in LA, I was playing a lot different music, a bit more. I mean, it wasn't that different. 2006, 7 was like the end of like the minimal techno time where everyone liked that kind of super minimal click-clacky German techno that was going around that was pretty popular into like was also the crossover with like Solomon and Jamie Jones kind of getting big. So we were in this intersection of playing like a little bit more minimal weird stuff and like I don't know, Wolf and Lamb kind of more funky stuff. But then around the same time like 2010 I started to get into like RPR, Radu, Cadenza, and then like Lawrence, Mule Music, Smallville over here in Germany, and I started to get into all this European stuff. And then I started to play that more and it didn't really fit with the direction my friends in LA were going. So that's actually why I decided to move also. I was like, I need to go somewhere where I want to play fits in and when I'm not like struggling to find gigs where I can play my music and not feel weird, you know, which was the obvious choice to come over here. So I guess that's the biggest change. But now when I go to LA, there's pretty good warehouse parties where I can play whatever I want also. It's fun. But the scene in LA is not so developed. It's like we don't have any proper clubs anymore, especially for this more minimal music. We just have illegal warehouse parties and they can come and go, they can get shut down. So it doesn't have like a nice anchor club like London has Fabric or even, you know, I don't know what you have in Manchester. Is it Leeds has like District? You know, you have some places where people can gather who like the same music regularly and people are constantly exposed to something kind of familiar. In Los Angeles, you don't have this. So all the newer people coming to parties have no idea really what is what also. It takes more time. I really like Heideglund, which is the more housey club here. It's really house music centered, which is cool because it didn't really have that before here. Romania, my favorite party these days is Red Dot that my friend Karim is doing up in the mountains near Cluj because it's a little bit private. It's not like super public and it's smaller and it's like really community. All the people going kind of know each other by now. They do it like twice a year. That's really nice. I really like anything small, cozy with good sound system, basically. That's the vibe. It's a pretty simple formula, you know. Just get a couple nice people, nice sound system in a cozy small place, and see what happens. In the beginning in Los Angeles, about 2008, 9, I started to mess around. I think I did my first track that was released was my friend's label in LA, Culprit, in 2010. And I did it also 2 or 3 remixes around then. It's really funny to listen to those because in the beginning you don't have any idea what you're doing and you actually don't know. The longer you start making music, the more you start making these rules for yourself that you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that. And the beginning track's always interesting because you don't give a shit about any rules, which is the thing to try and get back to later on when you keep making music. Now I started to make stuff again, but mostly with other people because I don't have my own studio. But I really need to make my own stuff again by myself, which is the goal for this winter. But I think I've been saying that for like 5 years. But hopefully this winter, really gonna make it happen because I feel like doing it, which is nice. I'm really excited to make music again, actually. But yeah, 2010, 11, I was messing around. I made stuff on and off until maybe 2013. And then I think it was like 4 or 5 years, I really didn't make anything, almost nothing. And then in pandemic, when I went to Herodot's house, he had a nice studio. I brought a couple of little things, keyboards, one drum machine, and we combined everything. And that was when I got into studio mode again. It was fun. Although he was the brain in Ableton, kind of organizing us and me mostly in the Moog and other stuff. But it was fun. It was really fun to get back in this mode. And now I'm making with my friend over here, my friend Masa. He has also a pretty nice studio, so we're having a great time as well. So yeah, I'm excited to make more music again, which is cool. I don't feel like you have to force it, you know? I don't feel like I need to have releases. I don't really care about this, you know? If I want to make music, I'll make music, but I don't feel like I need to be putting stuff out to be relevant or whatever. The most important elements are just straight percussion basics of like, you know, what is classic in dance music? Proper kicks, proper hi-hats, good claps, good snares. I think good basic elements are good to then explore the rest. You know, if you don't have the basics that have a nice groove that you could listen to on their own basically, then the rest is like, it's better to get those right and then focus on whatever other sounds, pads, anything, samples. So that's what I like first and foremost. But also that's sometimes very difficult to get right. I almost spend years and years trying to find this perfect kick or perfect clap or process the 808 just the right way that makes it sound better than all the other 808s that you've ever heard before, you know? I think it's always rewarding when you play and someone just says something that you didn't expect, that they really liked something that you didn't even think about yourself, you know? People were coming up to me recently telling me how much like this certain ambient mix got them through this period or something, and this is super special for me, like, because I just make the stuff, I make it for myself because I like it, and I hope someone else will like it, but it just goes out, and yeah, you see some comments in SoundCloud or likes or whatever, but it doesn't really show you who actually really liked something or what it really meant to them. So it's nice to get these kind of comments. I don't know, DJing is still fun mostly, you know, it's still fun, it's still enjoyable all the time. Sometimes it's exhausting and you're like trying to get to a set and you don't even know what you're doing, but you're just trying to make it. But after that, someone can come and be like, it was amazing, it was so good, man. And you're just like, oh, for me, it was a total struggle. I was tired, or this didn't happen how I wanted or how I thought, but you just have to leave it. But just try again the next time. So many, Jesus, I don't even know where to start. Like, I mean, all of my close friends are from music. I met my girlfriend now in CDV 3 years ago when I was playing here with Radu. So yeah, everything. All of my life has basically come from music, you know. I have friends in other areas, but all of my close friends are from music. All my close friends here, my friends in Los Angeles, in every other city that I've ever been to, all my close friends have to do with music. That's difficult, especially now having a job like which is part-time, almost full-time in the summer. And like I also like to do photography. Yeah, I'm also working on a lot of my own bookings and opportunities for myself. I'm managing my own social media. I'm working on my own mixes. I'm digging music for DJing. I'm digging music for ambient mixes. I'm digging music just to listen at home. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff in the end. It seems like, oh, it's for fun. It's your job, but it's for fun. But it's also like, and because you don't really have anyone telling you what to do when you start DJing, like you're not working for someone else, you don't have a boss, and it's like freestyle. You can do whatever you want. You can make music all day, you can dig, you can work on a podcast, but you have to kind of decide what you're going to focus on at any time. So I'm pretty bad at managing my time. I'm getting better slowly, also because having a side job is good to give you a little bit more focus, something you have to do during the week. You have to take care of these things because it's for your work. You can't just after party for 2 days anymore and not give a fuck. So it's nice to have a little bit extra structure from the side job, which is really good for me now. But I also liked back in the day when I could just do whatever I want. It's also fun because you get inspiration from those moments when you have no schedule and you can just, you know, listen, play records with some people, some friends in somebody's living room for 2 days or a whole day. This is also good. But yeah, it's nice to have a balance, and it's something always difficult to work on. But it's getting better for me. I'm pretty happy with it right now. Yeah, I mean, you feel it all the time in different ways, even in clubs where you wouldn't expect it. Sometimes the gigs in little cities like in the States or something, the people are way more connected in places where I wouldn't expect than in like New York or something, you know? But usually when you play in places like this or in like CDV, it's like you get the full spectrum. I think even like maybe some places like Guest House is a bit different because the crowd is pretty dialed in usually. You don't get like, here we get random tourists, you get just people coming here for whatever reason. The people here, but it's a kind of a famous place now. So you get people that don't even really know the music are coming here, but they can also enjoy. Maybe they're enjoying it more than someone who actually knows more, you know? It's full spectrum. But yeah, there's some times when I've played in LA where I really felt like the people in front of me have no idea what they're listening to or where they are. They're there just because it's a warehouse where they can drink all night and get high. Also, those people can be just as fun as another crowd, so it doesn't really matter in the end of the day. You hope that people are kind of engaged with what you're doing. That makes it rewarding for you also, that you feel like, they're in for this ride, they're into it. I mean, it's pretty obvious. You don't have to pay attention that closely to see what people's reactions are and to see if they're really into it or if they're just kind of. The one guy who looks super bored is always the worst person to play for. If you get fixated on this one person who looks annoyed and like they don't like the music, it can ruin your whole set for sure. You have to just, okay, buddy, sorry you're at the wrong party. I'm gonna play for this person over here. Or myself. I was thinking about this earlier because I was thinking probably you would ask something like this. I think what attracted me the most was that like the early Radu record on Cadenza, for example, was such a good balance between something weird and trippy, but also focused on groove, making sure that the groove is keeping you going, that you feel like dancing, but also that the sounds are also trippy. There was a lot of like German minimal records that were super trippy, but the groove was too straight and it didn't have the right swing to keep you like, I don't know, the way that those guys played also that time was balancing a lot of like US house and American stuff and UK stuff. And they were making such a nice mix of everything that they could go lots of different places, but always keeping the groove right so that you wouldn't stop dancing basically, you know? And this is what attracted me to that, I guess, in the beginning, because I didn't really hear it. There were other people playing like that. There always is somewhere, but the way they were doing it was very unique, you know? Obviously, that's why it became such a phenomenon, you know? And I think a lot of people carried this through, kept it going. And a lot of the music was very interesting, like also the early Pedro records, they are so like kind of orchestral, but also same, like they have groove that keeps you going, and like even to the most minimal elements, that there's something there that's like you're not losing the thread of dancing, you know? You can go in, like you're going in outer space in different directions, but you still feel like dancing the whole time, even in the most basic elements. I think that's what was interesting to me. Also, just like this Smallville or Lawrence records were very pretty to me, but also you could still dance to them. And I really like this deeper music, that it was not so focused on like banging or huge moments, but having like kind of more beautiful moments in the dance floor, which was cool and different to me. I think like not thinking about it is the best way to get back into it. You know, if I'm not thinking about it and I go see some DJ that's really cool that gives me inspiration, that's usually the best. Hear someone else play records and you're like, how did they make this? Like, how do I even get close to making something even sort of like this? How do I make hi-hats like that? What the fuck are these hi-hats? You know, that's like the main source of inspiration, I think, for the studio. For everything else, like you get inspiration from everything. I like movies also. I like film. I like reading. I don't read enough, but I love reading. But yeah, everything else you get inspiration from. It's good to be taking breaks from clubs also. Do some nature. Nature is super important to me. I don't also get enough of it in Berlin. In Romania, we have, you know, you have nice forests and stuff, which were great. In California, I have the desert, which I really miss a lot when I'm not there. But to take breaks and go places where there's no people is really important to me also. I think that local scenes are going to be super important again, I hope, because to me, this think that's what keeps people anchored in smaller communities. Like, it's nice to have this global dance music community with internet, and you can see everything and find out everything and watch videos from parties like in Bali or whatever. But like local scenes and person to person, like small scenes are what keep it going, really. Like that's at the end of the day, when you're some new kid trying to figure out where you fit in, you're gonna have to come to your local party and meet people and get involved, basically. Like that's the best way to do it. I get, like I said, I get messages from people asking like, how can I play in CDV? And it's like, if you're just asking the club on Instagram, that's not the way to do it. I mean, I don't know how to explain that to people that don't know any better, or they, you know, kids that grow up in this Instagram world now, they would expect that you just ask like this. But to me, it was like, no, you go hang out, meet people. Like I was hanging out here for like a year almost until I figured out, I mean, I knew people doing parties, but I was here just all the time, just making friends, hanging out with people. And then you make connections and somebody's gonna give you some opportunity. You're gonna go to someone's house, play records. They're gonna be like, hey, you're really good. Do you wanna play here? I got like half of my gigs in the first years just from hanging out here and meeting people. That's why like local scenes are really important, and places like this, like you have to get involved and meet people face to face. It's the best way to make anything happen, you know? Connections on the internet are great, but it's not the same. Like it's not gonna lead the same way. Everyone's getting messages, hey, can I do this? Can I do this? Like if you meet someone and make a real connection, this is the best way always. That's, I think, the future of the scene, if people kind of get back to this. Because the internet is great, but it's no substitute for that. Or just getting involved in any way, making this, working at a club, you know, starting a label with some friends. Like, this is all really important. The behind the scenes photos. Yeah, I mean, it would basically be the same. Meet people, get involved, study the history, like learn as much as you can about dance music history. And it's easier to make something interesting if you kind of know what's been done before already. I don't know. Like, because if you're gonna make like another version of something that's already been done, you kind of have to know what's been done so that you can make it worthwhile. Otherwise, if you're just copying stuff that's been done already and making a lesser version of it, then you're just kind of wasting time, you know? This can also block you. For me, like, I want to make house tracks, but I know my favorite ones. And for me, if like if they don't measure up to like this at least, then for me, I'm like, I'm bored. Even though it could be still something cool, and other people might be like, oh, you should put that out. But for me, it's like a block. Study the history, and for us, we need to transmit these values. Like as the older generation, we need to transmit the values we have to these younger generations. It's difficult. There's no easy answer to that. Yeah, showing people what is proper opening, what is playing appropriate music for the right time you're at, and not just doing whatever you think is cool, but that doesn't fit what's going around you at all. Like sometimes people can be playing in that little room and they're like raving it out because there's like 20 people in front of them going crazy, but you look outside and it's a patio, it's afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, and it just doesn't fit for the whole rest of the club. Being aware of all these different contexts is super important. That's the thing that seems to get lost a bit sometimes. So, but there's always young people coming through that they get it in 2 seconds, you know? And it's the people that definitely I want to support. But it's always cool to see younger DJs that are like 20, 22, and they have this wisdom already somehow. You don't know where they got it from, but they picked it up really fast and they just know, it just makes sense to them. Yeah, this is pretty cool. So hopefully it continues like this.